Here we see some of the bomber planes that have been sent by Russia, but also the reactions of the United States on this issue. And it's known that right now there's an alert in NATO due to Russian bombers approaching the United Kingdom. And we'll talk about the details of what's happening on that topic. Let's also go to the information about what's happening in different parts of the world. You can see how it's being repositioned, even in the United States, the Caribbean by the United States, the strength of the United States pointing toward Venezuela, toward trade, and the Russian ships that are now Venezuelan, or rather that right now would be in a blockade. Russia has just responded again to the Venezuela issue. We'll discuss it in detail shortly. This image is also shown in which this interview in which J.D. Vance, he would be then criticizing and asking why. There are nuclear weapons in France and England, which he says are a risk for the United States. An amazing topic. We'll talk about it in a moment. What's it about? This situation is also shown by ABC on human immunodeficiency virus in the United States in Texas. A store, a supermarket. Suddenly, well, the system failed, the internal system. There was still power and everything, but the system failed. They couldn't charge. And well, the store said, everyone in line can take all their things for free. We're not going to charge you. And well, obviously, Merry Christmas, and people were really happy about this situation, which of course was taken as very welcome. I wish we could be that lucky, right? Well, yeah, to be in that line and have everything in your cart be free. Well, this image is also surprising. This is in Yakutia, over in Russia, where right now they're experiencing impressive temperatures of minus 56 degrees Celsius. Well, over there, in just a few minutes, you could freeze if you're not wearing the right clothes and if you don't keep moving. The situation in Yakutia, Siberia, Russia is obviously tough. By the way, speaking of Russia, here's an image showing a soldier. He claims that what's happening in different parts of Ukraine, for example in Kupiansk, he says they have supposedly shown that they have liberated or taken over Kupiansk several times, he says. Clearly, someone isn't giving Vladimir Putin accurate information, as Kupiansk isn't under Russian control. But every 2 or 3 weeks they have to announce that they've supposedly taken it, and then later they announce it again, and so on constantly. Well, a Russian soldier criticizing this part. You can also see an image of Maduro dancing very calmly, apparently celebrating Christmas. Jose Gregorio on the trumpet. Well, there he is, the president of that country, the dictator Maduro, Nicolas Maduro, who supposedly keeps showing that he's very calm and dancing perfectly, according to him. Another image that is quite surprising and, well, keeps happening in Indonesia, specifically in Sumatra, where they keep seeing pretty severe floods. This seems to be an overflow, according to reports, and it's happening in different parts of Indonesia, specifically in Sumatra. They've had problems not only with the overflow, but also with these huge rock slides. But it's an issue that, well, Indonesia has been having a tough time with. Flooding is also occurring in different parts of California. Right now, we're going to talk about what's happening in that part of the world. The southern United States faces some pollution problems. Heavy rain is occurring while snow is falling in the north. We'll explain this shortly. There's also a report of an attack on a gas processing area in Orenburg, Russia, which was allegedly targeted by Ukrainian drones. Other attacks are also being observed in different parts of the territory. In several such attacks today as well, 165 Russian drones struck Ukrainian civilian areas. Most of the 165 were shot down in the air, but risks remain. They also show this factory where the famous Flamingo missiles are made. There's a time-lapse of how they're manufacturing these FP-5S, also known as Flamingo missiles. These missiles, they say, will be a turning point for Ukraine. There are the factories making these missiles. It's a topic that they consider one of the most important missiles for the defense of that country. Another thing that draws attention is this image. Another attack that has been observed, attacks this time that would have affected the southern part of Russia. An attack as well in these areas where they build or manufacture part of the weaponry for Russia too. Well, a topic that draws attention today. There have been numerous explosions by the Ukrainian Air Force in different locations. Reports say this would be a plant in Rostov. Let's see what people in Rostov are saying. There's also an image, well, very much with a Christmas atmosphere, that happened in Yucatan. A video of a small dog entering Miniso trying to take a stray dog is trending on social media. He wanted to take a toy, a stuffed animal, right? And people saw him. People quickly suggested everyone pitch in 20 pesos so he could take his toy, since the store obviously wouldn't let him leave with it. People quickly gathered money, and the lady, well, she just wanted to take it away from him, but she was there. Even the store clerk joined in, quickly collecting the 20 pesos. I think it was 150. The little dog simply got his way and took his stuffed toy, bought by the people who saw the scene. Let's listen first to what people are saying. Let's listen. Let's each pitch in 20 bucks and we'll buy it for him. Well, we did it. We got the little dog his toy, his Christmas present, and he was really, really happy. Did you see how once he got it, he was jumping around, really happy? I think it's a Miniso, but it could be another store. Not sure what you think. If not, please leave a comment and let us know if anyone recognizes it. Yes, there, it says Miniso on the girl's shirt, on her blouse. Look, it's right there. Did he take it? Just look. So he's happy. The little dog got his present. Also, another image that draws attention supposedly is of the son of former President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. As he's leaving, you can clearly see which store he's coming out of. He's coming out of a store called, what do they call this store? Loro Piana. No, like Belinda's song, not Loro Piana. Well, there it is, right? There it is. I'm sure they'll report this image, right? Well, do you know why? The guys run into him leaving the store, done. According to what they report in the store, more or less a baseball cap costs 8,000 pesos. Just 8,000 pesos for the community that's watching us in other parts of the world. That would be, well, what? A little more or less, about $400 more or less. That's about right. And a t-shirt is about $1,000 approximately for a t-shirt. Well, there it is. The topic. It draws attention, obviously, since these are things that don't happen for the first time. It seems that, well, this person allows himself some pretty outrageous luxuries. Another thing that stands out, and I think we need to go with that report. First, it's what's happening with North Korea. When it seems like it can't surprise us anymore, North Korea does something and surprises us, and honestly, it's amazing. I mean, check out the new toy. Maybe they don't say anything to him here, but look at the people below. Those tiny dots over there are people. The size of this submarine is impressive. Let's go with that information and get into the details, since it's the first nuclear submarine with both nuclear capability and launch capability. Well, they show this image where you can see a huge submarine. Look at the people, the size of the people. It's a huge submarine, which, according to what North Korea claims and boasts, would be a submarine that, first of all, is nuclear powered. Let's say it's a submarine that can stay out there for years without needing to be refueled. According to them, it also has or will be equipped with nuclear warheads, so that, in case of war, it can launch nuclear weapons. It's amazing because we know they make submarines, but it's one thing to make submarines and another thing to make nuclear submarines with the capability to launch nuclear weapons. This puts North Korea as one of the few countries with submarines of this level. Besides, the size is surprising. Who? Me? A current submarine that would weigh approximately 8,700 tons. The North Korean leader unveiled a new submarine intended to carry nuclear missiles. According to what experts report, it could be almost ready for testing based on how it was presented. They claim he received advice from the Russians, who have a lot of experience in this area. And with this, well, they managed to build this one. Well, honestly, it's monstrous. North Korea has raised global concerns as Kim Jong-un announced major progress on building a nuclear-powered submarine, a piece that would be strategic in the effort, they say, to strengthen the regime's deterrent arsenal against threats. Whether from its enemies, which are considered to be South Korea, Japan, and the United States. The nuclear submarine is an 8,700-ton submersible that can launch guided missiles. According to them, North Korea also plans to equip the submarine with nuclear weapons, raising the capability for stealthy and preemptive attacks to a new level of military strategy. Kim also described this as an offensive act. The message to South Korea and the United States, which basically says, well, that the fact that South Korea is acquiring nuclear submarines with support from the United States, well, they didn't like that, right? Now they're announcing this, but it must have taken years of planning and construction. Regardless of South Korea's announcement, they were already building it too, right? Now Kim considers this new vessel as a new era for his nuclear deterrence doctrine, as they say, in the face of external threats, and he reaffirmed his commitment to nuclearize his navy. The photos show Kim inspecting the vessel alongside his daughter, who is the symbol of succession. That was the image in the photo I showed you a moment ago, right? This image where you can see, well, the size, right? These bunkers they build inside there, well, these submarines, right? Reports say the submarine is among the weapons Kim Jong-un has promised since 2021. Along with hypersonic missiles, spy satellites, and solid-fuel missile projectiles. Everything I've discussed has already been presented except the nuclear submarine. Now that's being shown too. Although it is suspected that Pyongyang may have requested the retired reactor from Russia. Some experts think the design could be North Korean, but this isn't certain. The publication coincides with recent North Korean anti-aircraft missile tests. Seoul and Washington have been monitoring the launches, and well, it's part, let's say, of these surprises that the end of 2025 brings us. Amazing, isn't it? Now, let's discuss other matters. There are 8 people dead and 19 injured in a bus accident in Mexico. Unfortunately, according to what has been shown in the images, the bus was completely destroyed. According to reports, the bus crashed near the ravine in the town of Sontecomatlan. According to Civil Protection, this happened on the night of December 24th. The prosecutor's office confirms 8 people died. According to the statement, assistance was provided to 19 injured people who have been taken to Chincotepec and Guayacocotla. According to the Mexican press, the bus was traveling from Mexico City to the town of Chincotepec. Road accidents, which usually involve passenger buses or cargo transport. During this time of year, people travel a lot, and unfortunately, incidents and accidents like this happen, right? Well, it's a really serious issue. Another thing that stands out within of everything that's happening on the planet. There's a very unusual situation, right? It's been reported by the militia chief. I'm sure they report it. A rival militia chief too. He would never have reported that someone took his wife, that someone kidnapped her. There are kind of clashes between different groups in Gaza and, according to what Zawuk Abu Nasira, leader of the Free Homeland Forces, reports, a militia that is against Hamas, by the way. It's a group that operates against Hamas inside Gaza, that is in the eastern part of Khan Yunis. It was reported that members of the terrorist group broke into his home on Monday and took his wife. They also took money, a gas canister, and solar panels. This incident is part of a prolonged dispute between rival Palestinian factions that have been clashing since 2007. Or have these kinds of incidents been happening for a while now? That's also an important issue. In a moment, we'll discuss the rains in California and the storms impacting the United States. But let me quickly tell you that the blackout or blackouts continue in the United States, especially in California, where it keeps going up and down, up and down. They are trying to reverse this situation. The number one place for blackouts right now is California, with 112,000 at the moment were live. Over 112,000 customers without electricity, affecting about 300,000 to 500,000 people. Other states like Maine, Ohio, Texas, Illinois, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey also have this blackout problem. But by far, California is the one with the biggest problem right now because that's where this storm phenomenon is hitting and it's pretty intense. We'll discuss this situation in detail soon. Now let's cover other important topics. And right now, I want to wish a Merry Christmas to the community that's watching us today on the 25th, whether you're watching the broadcast live or maybe later tonight or even later. Also, thank you so much for joining us for a little while every day. Here we are, bringing you information about what's happening in the world. By the way, there were a lot of outages. A lot of different platforms went down yesterday. For example, Fortnite, but many other platforms kept going down and down. Over there was a problem with Amazon, but it wasn't just Amazon. There were other outages too. Come on, who knows what it was? Steam went down too. It has its own servers but was down and is now working fine. Fortnite is also supposed to be working now after going down yesterday. Telmex, Telcel, Easy, Total Play, Epic Store, all stores, Epic Games. Twitter is also having issues and right now apparently it's already working. YouTube had issues yesterday afternoon. All Amazon services, everyone who has servers directly with Amazon, which are a lot of companies and banks, and everything was going down all day yesterday the 24th, right? So, well, still, some not so great games are still having issues right now, again, but not like yesterday, right? So some things might still not work for you, so just know it's not you, it's not your internet. It's likely the companies themselves lack it. Roblox too, yes, I'm looking at you. Roblox had issues, especially yesterday. Well, Netflix too, today Netflix is having issues today. Well, we'll be keeping an eye on that. Disney too. Well, let's move on to other important matters as well. What happens when there's an alert in NATO and the pilots have to rush out to precisely get on the deterrence planes? Let's say not get on the jets immediately and, well, fly toward where planes from another country are appearing, right? According to reports, it's now known that Russia had these bombers, according to what the Russians say. As a routine? Well, look, I don't know if it's routine, but the truth is that it draws attention because these are the planes that were sent to the United Kingdom. Russian bombers fly near Great Britain. NATO obviously reacted and also sent fighter jets. Reports say President Vladimir Putin sent bombers to the capital. Actually, to get closer to the United Kingdom. These planes are nuclear capable and, well, they see them as a possible threat or warning to the United Kingdom carrying out a flight right on Christmas. As reported, NATO was forced to send fighter jets to monitor the huge Russian planes. Su-33 fighter jets escorted the long-range bombers during the flight. According to reports, the long-range bombers, the Tu-95Ms of the Russian Aerospace Forces, carried out this scheduled flight. That's what they say, over various points near NATO. They went toward the Norwegian Sea and apparently approached the United Kingdom. And well, that's how things have been operating lately. Not only did planes from various NATO countries react, there's also a report mentioning how Poland itself also reacted. Warsaw deployed several F-16 fighter jets in response to Russian air maneuvers near the Baltic. Let's go to the map to see exactly where this latest Russian incursion took place, also toward the Baltic Sea. In this area, it was seen how Poland deployed its F-16s. The operational command of the armed forces confirmed that the Russian plane, allegedly a reconnaissance aircraft, was escorted out of the Polish area of responsibility while flying over international waters. The incident happened during the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. And despite the holidays, despite it being right in the middle of Christmas, and despite all this, well, these movements keep happening, there is no peace at any moment. Another thing that stands out is that today a Christmas offensive was launched, right? This Christmas offensive against Ukraine involved 131 drones that were repelled, most of them. Ukraine also responded with attacks on Russian fuel and supply depots. According to what is known, the Ukrainian defense managed to neutralize 106 out of the 131 drones that Russia launched during the night against its territory today. The attacks began at 7 p.m. on December 24. Mainly with Shahed-type drones as well as Gerbera-type and other types of drones that were launched mainly towards the eastern part of Ukraine, right? Preliminary data shows that by 8:30 an hour later, air defenses had already managed to take down 106 enemy drones. According to reports, the impact of 22 drones was recorded and 15 sites were attacked, according to what the Ukrainian Air Force reports. By the way, Russia admits it, and it's an admission, also in Rara. The Russian Deputy Minister Alexander Novak insists on it at an international forum, that the Russian economy won't be able to recover until 2027. Even if the war ends now, recovery will still take some time. The forecast is somewhat worrying for Russian citizens. The Russian economy won't get out of its current stagnation until 2027, predicted Alexander Novak, the Russian deputy minister. Next year, we will see growth similar to 2005 by 2025, and through 2027, we will achieve a steady growth rate matching the global average. But 2025 will still be a year of contraction, let's say, right? Growth is nearly zero, around 1% at best, which they think is achievable, just like in 2025. And well, that also sets off alarms in that country's economy. Another matter that's also important today. Israel reportedly eliminated a member of the Iranian Quds Force elite unit, which we were just talking about yesterday. Well now, and that they operate. By the way, in Venezuela, Iranian forces have been operating Quds forces. We have to remember that they are this special military group which is part of, let's say, the Ayatollah's army and operates internationally. Yes, it's like their CIA, so to speak. I mean, it's a force that operates as an intelligence agency abroad, right? Russia and other countries have it too, just in this case. These groups, the difference, let's say, is that they have been operating very intensely in different parts of Latin America. It's also an issue that draws attention because Iran is so interested in this region of the world. On this occasion, well, one of these individuals would have been eliminated, but they don't know where. In Lebanon, where Hezbollah operates, so from Iran we quickly move to this area, to Lebanon, right? Reports say this key 840 Operations Unit member of the Iranian Quds Force was identified and linked to attack planning in recent years. This is noteworthy because they are, or at least are, suspected to have been behind attacks in different parts of the world. This time, well, over there in Lebanon. In Israel, Unit 840, led by Azhar Bakeri and Deputy Mohammed Raza Ansari, oversees Iran-backed terrorist activities against Israel. According to reports from the Israeli Army and the General Security Service, who have provided the details, well, this individual has been eliminated, right? That's also, well, part of today's report, which is very active. It seems like today for sure. Well, that's it. Whether it's Christmas or a quieter day, I don't know where that comes from because it's been very intense in every way, in every area. Let's say no. These are satellite images. Let's see if we can display them on the screen. What we see here at this point are F-35s. What do we know about them? Where are those F-35s that have been drawing attention in satellite images? Well, pay attention to this issue because more and more military activity is being observed in the Caribbean. According to the report, an entire fleet of F-35S has now been detected in Puerto Rico. This satellite image. The most victorious sacrifice? Will they support each other? No, they won't. In this movement, the tension in the Caribbean increases dramatically. Well, this vision, let's say, is about operating now, even supposedly on land. Something that, up until now, although it hasn't happened, there are clearly suspicions that this could happen very soon. Meanwhile, officials from the Southern Command maintain a reserved stance, stating that they will not comment on specific operational movements. So all you can do... I wonder what these F-35S are for. There's a good report. Maybe an operation will happen, but nobody knows. There's still no idea how this move might happen, but clearly they're preparing for something, apparently, well, intense. Well, a series of storms have been reported over there in the United States, and well, one of these storms is hitting the northern part hard, with snowfall. Besides, what we've already seen with the floods in California and the blackouts. And with all this going on, a series of roadblocks and snowfalls are being observed in the northern part. Look here we can see part of what was from the atmospheric rivers they've had. That's it. This storm is on the other side. It's more in the east than in the west. Do you see what's happening? What's the alert for the United States? A storm will hit at least 6 states. This is happening right on December 25th, bringing alerts for snow, ice, and official warnings. We're going to talk about this right now so you can be aware of the situation. If you're watching us from over there in Mexico, well, the weather has also been intense in some areas, for example in Veracruz. We're going to discuss what's happening in Veracruz and parts of the Gulf of Mexico, which has been intensifying the rain in some places, right? This year has already been complicated for Veracruz, and well, it ends like this, right? It ends like this, but the issue doesn't end with floods. Afterwards, it's already been 2 months. Do you remember those floods in Veracruz? Well, after 2 months, the floods are back. And by the way, they've already activated the plan. There are 3 because the Palma River overflowed. In fact, the overflow started 2 days ago. We've been here. I'm trying to keep up. How's it going? It seemed like at one point things were going to calm down, but it kept raining. It kept raining. There are already 200 families affected in that part of the country. We'll talk about it in a moment too. But look at what's happening with these storms in this region. Which states are those? Well, to begin with, the massive winter storm is hitting all of these areas on December 25th over the last 6 hours. Above all, there's been a lot of activity mainly toward these states on the sides basically, and the surrounding areas including Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania as well. Chicago, notice that it didn't get hit. It didn't get hit with that intensity. If you notice, Chicago and Illinois are in this area and are a bit outside of this whole phenomenon. Yeah, Illinois didn't have it so bad, that's all. In the northern part, it hits them a little, but it hits more in the north and goes precisely toward the eastern states. Yes. The large-scale winter storm hit 6 states today, December 25th, mainly in the northeast and midwest of the United States, including New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. Although they are not the only ones, they are the most affected, creating a potentially dangerous situation because it's a combination of snow and ice. According to National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and the World Channel, there are warnings about traffic, power outages, and risks of infrastructure collapse in both urban and rural areas. The massive impact is affecting millions of people due to the winter storm, which started mainly in the north of Minneapolis and then moved toward the northeast. There have already been impacts on traffic, the power grid, and flights. Everything is blocked. Well, the states on highest alert, aside from what's happening in California, where there are blackouts in this situation, well, it's the accumulation of rain, in this case snow, for New York and for the Hudson Valley, about 20 centimeters of snow that they're getting right now. The city, Johnstown and Clarion, Pennsylvania, are experiencing over 6 millimeters of ice, increasing the risk of accidents and power outages. Take a look at an image I'm going to show you, but it's not from Yakutia, nor from Minnesota, nor from Manito. It's not from Canada or anything like that. This image is from Mexico. Take a look at this. Epic, this image. Honestly, my respects. Well, they're professionals. They're professional climbers from India who visited Mexico and climbed Pico de Orizaba, the highest volcano in North America. Look at how they arrived. Wow, what a beautiful image. So beautiful and epic. Honestly, that's the word I find to describe this image. But it's also strange to see Mexico, you know? Well, with these kinds of images, so shocking, right? Of course, it's a really high peak and it's cold up there, but you guys, the ropes are covered in ice and you're arriving already just exhausted. There you are, reaching the summit of Pico de Orizaba, according to the report. Well, that over there in the background is the summit. They're already going down to the summit. It's that person. Let's see if we can get a shot of them to share that little moment. There it is. Wow, let's see if they make it. Let's see. Over there on the right side, you can see a peak. There it is. That's it. There it is. There they are. Well, impressive, honestly. Well, according to the reports, in December of this year, a few days ago, a team of mountaineers from India led by a high-altitude climber named Narendra Kumar, successfully reached the summit of the peak. Orizaba in winter, even if it hasn't been that cold, it's still chilly up on those peaks, as we could already see. This is obviously very interesting. And well, continuing with what's happening, I just remembered that I still have the image pending. The thing is that towards Washington District of Columbia, for example, towards Baltimore, they will also get rain and frost tonight and tomorrow, Friday. Between today and tomorrow, they will get a little bit of snow, but a lot of cold snow and maybe ice. So also stay alert to what's happening. California, well, we've already been talking about it, even showing some images of the floods and overflows they've had there in California, for example. This, right? I mean, where there have been some landslides, and in fact, there is still an alert for possible landslides and more rain in different parts of California. By the way, besides this situation, what is expected for California? No, and there's still more water coming. California is facing a meteorological crisis, they say, without precedent. Exactly on the 25th, but another system with threats of rain is approaching for December 26th, that is, for tomorrow. Today, there will also be rain on the 25th and thunderstorms, but during tomorrow, the 26th rain and thunderstorms are also expected. If you are over there, please be careful. There are also flood alerts for the border with Oregon and California, and towards Los Angeles and Central California, that is Southern Oregon. Los Angeles, California, all the way to Los Angeles, California, there are still chances of storms and rain, so more evacuations are likely to happen. The communities of Little Creek and other areas near Airport Fire received evacuation orders due to the imminent risk. And there are thousands of people. Earlier there were 160,000 people without electricity, but that number has been going down. Look, right now it's gone down, now it's 112,000, it's dropped a little. Let's refresh this. 108,000, 108,000. There it goes, they're catching up. They already have a little more electricity in California, but yes, these are areas affected precisely by the rain, the winds, and all of this. By the way, there are also snowfalls in California, but that's in the area toward the Sierra Nevada, where there have also been situations with almost zero visibility, meaning you can't see anything. Are there avalanches or avalanche risks for Lake Tahoe or near Lake Tahoe? There are also winter storm warnings in effect until tomorrow. Starting Saturday, in theory, the weather will begin to improve for California, so keep that in mind as well. Well, it's the 25th and I'd like to tell you about a very strange case, a super rare case. But that's not a recent case, it's a case from the past about the pilot Andy Danziger, a presidential pilot of the United States. And Well, it shows how there are more and more people. He already passed away. Like I said, it's a case where he lost his life, I think at 65 years old. But this pilot, well, what catches my attention is that he was Obama's pilot. Yes, and well, he claims to have had an experience with an unidentified flying object, right? He even gave several interviews and talked about the subject. Isn't that the man? In fact, there he is, right next to Barack Obama at the time. I don't know. What I'm saying is that he's a pilot. Well, that's what they claim, or he himself. He claims that he has had several experiences, but one in particular was very, very intense because the object was huge, he says. And it shows how pilots little by little come out and start talking more and more about what they experience. On some occasions, not all, but some don't. I'm sure he reports it. In most of the information available about this veteran commercial pilot, they connect him to, well, having flown with or with Obama's pilot during the 2008 campaign. And, according to reports, Andy the singer, also known as Andrew. He has shared several stories, but one from April 1989 stands out. The testimony states that he wasn't the only one who saw it, but even, well, not only his colleagues, but also the control towers were able to observe the object. A flight from Kansas City to Waterloo, Iowa, when he was the first officer on a regional turboprop, they were able to observe something that changed their lives. The skies were clear at both the origin and the destination, but there was a small area of clouds along the route. Suddenly, a kind of white disk was observed, which at first you could. They might have mistaken it for the moon due to its size, as it was visible through the clouds. He says it couldn't have been the moon, since the moon was visible on the other side. Or did he see the moon here? And on the other side? Well, it was something else, apparently with a shape or size similar to the moon, but not on the other side. The object started to follow them, it started to accompany them, and there came a point when they were very close to the object. They realized that what looked like a disc was actually a sphere, white at first and then red, according to what they reported. The ball was huge and, well, it was flying very close to them. You could see it appearing and disappearing through the clouds. In the final phase, the sphere descended. It was flying alongside them under the plane, and then it disappeared. An impressive speed behind the clouds. Some versions add that other witnesses of the same case claim that they could also see that the reddish light had flashes or multicolored lights. Also, when it was hiding behind the clouds, you could see how the cloud constantly changed to different colors. Several sources say that they consulted with air traffic control, and at the time they said there was no information. They denied it. Later, it was confirmed that something strange had been observed at that time. The National Unidentified Flying Object Reporting Center New Fork says that they have been told about similar cases reported by other pilots in the same area. It is known that there have also been different appearances of this pilot before he lost his life. He appeared on Fox News, he appeared in different media outlets. Even around 2015, he was appearing in interviews where he talked about this topic. Also within all of this, he is credited with the idea that virtually all pilots' beliefs and nubos are not. This phrase, which is now known, don't take out all the pilots, or almost all the pilots, because they believe in those objects because they've seen them. Is this phrase attributed to this person? At the very least, he is one of those who claim that many pilots openly talk about the subject among themselves. He claims that other friends have seen similar things, other colleagues from the same profession. The point is that it keeps adding up. More and more cases keep adding up. More and more people keep adding up. Well, they show that there's something interesting, and that at the very least it should be analyzed in a more open way. And well, let's quickly move on to other matters before we get to the comments. They say that right now there's a complicated situation in Havana, especially since the United States is not allowing oil to leave that country, and Havana is feeling the effects. Donald Trump's pressure on the Venezuelan ghost fleet is directly hurting the island, which would be entering this in 2026. This coming year, it would be entering its worst moment in history in terms of energy and the economy. So, what's coming could get even more complicated. And speaking of this, about the end of the year for Cuba, but now also about the end of the year for Venezuela. Analysis have been conducted in Venezuela. What concerns Venezuelans most now? According to the EFE agency, they expected the main concern to be possible conflict with the United States, but that's not the case for Venezuelans. Right now, they are more worried and prioritizing their interests on how to survive the inflation crisis that is currently happening in the Caribbean. Despite the deployment of the United States near the coast, what really worries Venezuelans, they say this Christmas, is their wallets. It's the dollar rising, the bolivar losing value, and food costs. The December atmosphere, well, he says is full of people right now, but with few shopping bags. Merchants and buyers agree that there's little activity when it comes to purchases, since consumption is very low. The market, like Quinta Crespo. In Caracas, vendors like Maria de Silva said that money doesn't go far and sales are minimal, she says. The dollar so far this year, in Venezuela has risen by 559%. Even with the dollar down, right? Still low. The dollar has dropped against most currencies, but in Venezuela it has risen by 559%. Prices are set in dollars, but almost everyone pays in bolivars. The official exchange rate is really low for exchanging with that currency. Well, that's how things are, that's the concern. And starting tomorrow, we'll be commenting on it. Expectations for 2026 in areas like the economy, geopolitical economy, and other fields. Not just to see how the year ends, but especially how 2026 is shaping up. Let's go then. Quickly to greet you and congratulate you. Thank you very much. Hugs to the whole community. Thank you for being with us throughout 2025, for being here with us, for being part of the community, for participating, for taking action in response to what's happening in the world. Thank you so much. Hopefully we'll see Claudio more often. We barely saw him in 2025, unlike previous years when he was more active. I know they've been busy. I know there have been things that have made it complicated for him, but I send a big greeting to Claudio, and I'm really glad to know that he's around here. A greeting to Panterita Marcela, to Christy Kranz, to Carolina, to Benedicto. Honestly, yes, Benedicto, it's impressive. These climbers, I don't know. It excites me to see those kinds of things. And well, besides, we have it close by here, right? Love taking on and completing challenges quickly. Doing it in winter seems super interesting to me because you're going to run into a bit more complicated conditions, right? Like a challenge. It's not bad at all. And well, I mean, obviously with the proper preparation and guides, right? And everyone, greetings, Benedict. How have you been? Very good, Carolina. Greetings, he says from Valencia, Venezuela. Carolina says this uncertainty is awful. How are you? I can imagine. I send you a big, big greeting, Christy Kranz. How have you been? Merry Christmas to you too. Very good, he says. Yes, honestly, that meeting is amazing, Benedicto. The fact that you mention it makes it even more interesting to me. Marcela, great. Who else is here? Roberto? Hello, community. The situation in North Korea is worrying. Honestly, yeah. I mean, this isn't really a matter of deterrence. This actually seems more like they're getting ready for an offensive, right? He says, I climbed to my room and was exhausted. You're really out of shape. What happened? Wigoof, how did that happen? Hello, very good. Who else is here? He says, I'm Gary. He says, why do people find it easier to believe in aliens and spaceships than in angels, demons, or spiritual beings? Well, because it's a mystique of a religion. Yes, that's why there's such a big difference. Yes, I mean, it's like saying, hey, well, okay, what's easier, to believe that there are little animals in nature or to believe in elves? What's easier? Well, to believe in the little animals, right? Why? Because they're also part of this topic. I mean, why believe in angels or demons or in topics like UFOs and aliens and whatever else? Well, because they're there, you're seeing them, the angels, right? Or not, right? And besides, they're in a religious sense. I mean, for you or for people who practice a religion, they say these are the entities that exist in this religion. But there are a lot of religions, so many thousands of religions, each with unique beliefs. And this isn't about belief. This is just something that doesn't matter what religion you are. You could be Catholic, Christian, or atheist. And to see, well, that there are things there, not just objects, but strange things. So yes, these are things that are totally separate from each other, right? One is a dogma, essentially an act of faith. And the other is a situation, well, of whether it's there or not, right? But yes, that's why I'm Gary. I send you a big greeting. How have you been? Merry Christmas, he says. It's just that I had a lot of work this season. You're exhausted. It's not that you're not in shape. You're just exhausted. Yes, of course. I mean, I totally get it, you know? And yeah, it's funny when you start your vacation, this happens a lot. People get sick, all the aches and pains come out, so to speak, because it's like the body says, okay, we're going to rest, and it lets everything out. I don't know how it works, but it happens a lot, right? It's pretty curious, isn't it? This greeting, doesn't it say, I am Teo by the grace of God? Greetings, very good. Greetings, Magical Luna, very good. Greetings. Panterita, how have you been? Very good. Greetings. I even got a cramp, he says. Ah, I got you. I mean, that's great. Greetings. No, well, that's potassium, right? And you have to eat potassium and minerals, not just be there. This one says exactly the profession of doctors before climbing. Yes, exactly. Not like a super pro preparation and all that. No, but yes, it's interesting. Vikingo at 20, he asks. Isn't he speaking there? Greetings, very good. Who else is there? Hey, well, just wanted to say Merry Christmas and we'll see each other later tonight, right? Thanks for the longer, more in-depth chat. We'll keep talking. And well, if there's any other urgent matter live, we'll talk about it from the cell phone or wherever we are. A big hug. See you later.
Thank you for watching the PP News Live, where the events of planet Earth and the secrets of outer space are analyzed like nowhere else. Thank you for subscribing.